Hey, welcome back to the channel. Please click the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel. So as you can see, we've applied gum to the lower part of the cardboard of the cap, and the gum is about dried now. So the next thing we'll be doing is to bend and join. So as you're doing this, you'll be careful if there's any embroidery design at the lower part, which we have here. You have to make sure it is uniformly arranged. And after doing that, you press internally to make sure there is no empty space, no lagging. Make sure every single part is firmly attached to the cardboard. And you do that thoroughly. So the next thing is to adjust to make sure there's no space. You drag it upwards. The next thing to do is to trim. This upper part will trim so at least 1 or 1.5 inches excesses. So as you can see, I'm not using any tape rule because I do this quite often, but I would advise you to use a tape rule to take your measurements while trimming yours. The goal is just to make sure when you're trimming, one part of the excesses is not bigger than the other part, so they don't overlap each other. So as you can see, I've also added gum to the other part and it's about dried. So I'm bending and gumming. So there are many parts of the videos we'll be skipping because we've done this quite a number of times now. If you want to see parts of the videos where I add gum, you can check my other videos where I make this type of caps. So you do the same. You press and make sure there is no lagging. So as you can see, the side of the cap is already looking like we did embroidery on it. So any part that is forming an angle or a sharp edge, you bend to make sure it gives you the circular shape. Or should I say the spherical shape. So the next part will be to use this circumference to cut out the top or the upper part of the cap. So you cut out a paper or a carton or whatever you can find to be at least 1 inch bigger than that of the circumference of the body. You use it to cut the net, which we've done. You use it to cut the net, which is exactly the size. Then you use it to cut the foam, which will be bigger. And you also use it to cut the top of the material. As you can see, we've joined the top of the material with the foam and the net. And we've also gummed the upper part of the body of the cap. So since we've applied gum to the upper part, it will be to join the top to the body of the cap. The white part of the coverage of the net you are seeing is a wording used to cover the edges of the net so it doesn't injure or puncture my hand when I'm doing this part. So while doing this part, all hands has to be on deck. You have to make sure there's solid contact between each part of the top material and the side of the cap. The net is what gives it that oval shape, the way we cut the net. And as you can see, this is neatly done. So any part of the gum excesses that is visible, you can just use your hand to press it inwards. Which is what I'm doing now. Any gum excesses that is showing, I'll just press it inwards. From this practical work, you will see that we do it so neatly that we don't even need to clean any parts of the outer part of the cap, because when applying the gum, you make sure you don't apply the gum to get to the tip edge of the side of the cap. So you press every gum stain inwards. And you make sure there's solid contact between the side and the top of the cap. So I'm making sure there's no folding, trying to see if everything can be smoothly round. And I made sure the design and the center top of the cap is situated exactly at the center while cutting the top material. So the outer part of the cap is done. So we'll focus on the inside, which is basically the finishing of the cap. So the next thing you do is to cut out your lining. You just cut a rectangular lining shape that is bigger than the cap when you place it inwards. And the next thing we do is to apply gum randomly inside the cap. You apply the gum in a way that you make sure the gum touches at least everywhere except 1 inch before the tip of the side of the cap, because that way where you'll be adding your 1 inch rubber band finishing. So as you can see, I'm applying gum to every single part except the 1 inch space, 1 inch before the tip of the edge of the side of the cap. So I'm not applying to the edges of the cap, I'm applying below the edges of the cap, because after inserting the lining inside the cap, I still have to trim downwards. If you have any question, You can always go to the comment section to drop, and I'll do justice by answering it. And if you feel like there's any part of the video you would love to see that you feel is not a part of what we posted here, you can always measure me too, and I'll look for a way to send that part for you, because the video was extensively made, but only the important parts were cut and edited to be posted. So as you can see, we're already starting the lining. So while doing this, you don't really care about the arrangement. The most important thing is to make sure every part of the lining is longer than the edge of the side of the cap, not shorter. Make sure it is longer. But the most important thing is to make sure there is pure contact between the lining and all the internal parts of the cap, so the gum can hold both firmly. So we're done attaching. Next we'll be doing is trimming. So you trim the lining to at least ½ inch lower than the edge of the cap. So as you can see, initially I'm just trimming randomly round. Then after doing that, I want to trim to make sure the lining is at least ½ inch below the edge of the cap. While doing your sweep, please, you have to be careful, especially when you're using a very sharp scissors. I mostly use blunt scissors, because sharp scissors could make you mistakenly cut your cap, and that will be back to square one. So I've already trimmed everything ½ inch below, and I've already added gum to my 1 inch rubber band. So the next thing I'll just do is attach. So the gum is covering the edge of the lining. So the gum is basically serving as the finishing of the job. So you make sure no edge of the lining is showing. And proper placing of your 1 inch band should ensure that. When adding gum to your lining, you have to do it carefully to make sure there are no much gum stains. But at the same time, make sure every part of the 1 inch get the taste of the gum, because that's what's going to make it join firmly. So when it overlaps, you cut off the excess. So once you cut off the excess, you press hard to make sure it is firmly attached. So you press round. So as you can see, we are done. You can see not much cleaning is needed. If there is any cleaning to be done, probably it's going to be internal cleaning. We'll ask for the outer part. You can see it's well cleaned. Thank you for watching.